Hey guys, welcome to AITA Chronicles. Subscribe if you love chaotic Reddit drama. First story coming up.
Would I be the asshole if I divorce my husband just for asking to be polyamorous? This is really upsetting to me on all accounts, and I'm getting mixed opinions from the few real-life people I've talked to about it, so I could use the advice of total strangers. I, 26 female, and my husband, 27 male, have been married for just over a year, and together for 4. We spent a long time before getting married talking about what we wanted out of being married, so I thought we were on the same page about all the important things. I do love him very much. He is sweet, helpful, and generally my dream partner, until last week. Out of the blue, he sat down one night and said he wanted to talk about something. I thought it was just something minor he was frustrated about or a bad day at work or something. Instead, he talked about how he found out that his best guy friend and his wife are polyamorous. He and his friend have been talking about it more, and he thinks he might like to try it and wondered what I thought. I felt instantly sick to my stomach. We've always had a great sex life, and he's never given me any reason to think he was interested in anyone else. I told him that I'm not interested in being in a polyamorous relationship. I want to be monogamous with him for the rest of my life. If it had stopped there, I don't think it would have gotten so bad. But then he asked if I would read about it and then decide. I said no, I already know how I feel about it. He asked if I would at least think about it, and for some reason that just did something to me, like instant revulsion kind of upset. I got up and told him that I was too upset to keep talking and that I needed some space, so I would sleep in the guest room that night and we could talk later. Ever since that night, I have the biggest ick any time I see him. He keeps trying to backtrack, but I know he meant what he said about wanting to be polyamorous. It's not so much that he brought it up, it's the 2 other asks after I already said I would never be comfortable with it. It's like that didn't matter to him. He thought he could convince me, and it makes me feel awful. What else is he gonna pressure me about if I say no? And if he already wants to sleep with someone else, how can I ever trust him not to do it behind my back? I'm still sleeping in the guest room, and I'm thinking of just asking for a divorce now when it would be simpler to divide everything up and go our separate ways instead of waiting until years down the line when I get my heart broken. He could go do whatever he wants, and I could find someone who just wants a good, solid, monogamous relationship with me. The idea is killing me, but I feel like it's going to hurt now no matter what. While I do still love him, I don't think I can ever unhear and unsee my husband asking me for an open relationship. And the idea of him touching me makes me feel ill. He's upset and frustrated that I'm punishing him for asking a question, but I honestly don't know what he expected to happen. There is a part of me that thinks maybe divorcing him is being overdramatic, but also the ick is so strong that I don't have much hope of getting back to where we were. Am I the asshole? Edit. Gosh, this got a lot of replies. I'm reading through them as best I can. I'm going to take the advice to get an STI test, and my gyno is going to work me in today for that. I don't think he would physically cheat, but better safe than sorry. I do think there is probably someone he's interested in, possibly his friend's wife or maybe even his friend. He's never expressed being bisexual, but that doesn't mean he isn't. I don't know them very well, so I can't speculate on their role in all of this. I'm going to be charitable and assume there are no machinations from their end, and he just picked this up from his friend and ran with it. I want to be clear that I'm not ignoring him. We can talk about whatever else is going on, but I'm not ready to continue this conversation with him, and he knows that. I want to be calm for that, and his behavior is not really conducive to a sense of calm right now. Every time he brings it up makes me a little more disgusted with him, but he seems intent on digging the hole instead of letting things settle. That and not taking the first no for an answer is a bigger issue for me than the poly ask. I think I'm going to meet with a lawyer just to go over options. At this point, I don't have much faith in counseling changing how I feel about him now,
but I would be willing to try a few sessions to say we gave it a shot. I'll throw that out there tonight and see what he says. Edit 2. He doesn't think counseling is necessary, he just wants to go back to the way things were before bringing it up. I've told him that's not an option. You can't unbreak a bone, it has to heal instead. I asked him if he had someone in mind and he said no, but he's not very good at lying and I don't really believe him. He says it was just an idea and there's no one and nothing has happened, but he also doesn't want to show me the messages between him and his poly friend so I can understand the content of the conversation they had. I will respect his choice, but it's enough to convince me that there's something he's hiding, even if it's not an affair in progress. And that's a problem. I've got an appointment with a lawyer in a few days. I'm going to wait until after that to make a decision, and I'm going to take a short trip alone to see my grandparents this weekend to get some fresh air and perspective. I'll try to update next week after all the test results come back, and I've had a chance to look at all the facts with a professional. Thank you for your kind support and advice. Update. Divorcing my husband for asking to be polyamorous. A lot of people wanted an update, and I've made some difficult decisions. For background, here is my initial post. I took advice from the thread and got an STI panel done. Fortunately, it came back clear. I suggested counseling, but my husband does not think it's necessary. I doubt it will change my feelings, so I'm not going to push for it. He's being overly protective of his phone when I asked to see a message conversation between him and his poly friend to understand the context of the situation. I would not violate his privacy, but there clearly is something he doesn't want me to see, and that's enough for me. It doesn't matter to me anymore whether there is something already in progress or just the desire for there to be. The shadiness of his behavior tells me what I need to know. I've been tempted to contact his friends directly to get their take, but in the event there is infidelity happening, I would rather not burden myself with the details, to be honest. I had a heart-to-heart with my grandparents this weekend and spoke with a lawyer yesterday. As of right now, I'm planning to move forward with the divorce. With no kids and no joint property or debt, since we were waiting on buying a house till I'm finished with residency, it should be easy to split the financials. The lease on our apartment is up in a couple of months anyway, so I plan to move out after breaking the news and just pay my portion of the rent on the current place until its renewal time. I'm heartbroken, but I'm convinced that this is the best move. I don't trust him anymore, I'm repulsed by his behavior since the ask, and I think it's best to cut our losses before digging the hole deeper. If he was willing to be transparent and do something to work on reestablishing trust, it would be different. But that's not the case, and I don't want to put in effort that he's not interested in putting in. I will be fine with time. So, yeah, not a happy ending, but I think it's in my best overall interest, and if he's not happy with monogamy a year into marriage, his best interest as well. Hopefully we can part ways quietly and without a lot of fuss. Reading this all the way through, I honestly don't think the writer is being dramatic or harsh. She's just listening to her gut, and that takes real strength. It's not about punishing someone for asking a question, it's about how that question was pushed after clear boundaries were set. The moment someone tries to change the foundation of your relationship without mutual interest or respect, trust starts to crack. And when he got secretive, refused counseling, and treated her feelings like a roadblock instead of a reality, yeah, I can see exactly why she felt done. Sometimes love just isn't enough when respect and transparency are gone. It hurts, but she's choosing peace over confusion. And I truly hope she finds the solid, monogamous love she's looking for. That's the end of this chapter, but the next story? Let's just say it puts a whole new spin on emotional boundaries. Keep listening.
Am I the asshole for refusing to have anything to do with my cheating dad or the baby he made while cheating? Last year, my mom found out my dad was cheating on her with his friend's sister, and the friend's sister was pregnant with dad's baby. I, 20 male, was in college and found out about it after mom had kicked him out and filed for divorce. My dad has not accepted the end of his marriage to my mom, and even now the divorce is final, he's still trying to convince mom to take him back. Between finding out and hearing from both of my parents, I knew I was done with dad after that. I told him he was disgusting and he needed to not contact me. I blocked his number and carried on with my life without him. Even when I heard the baby was born, I didn't have a change of heart. This didn't change when I was told dad had custody of the baby either, and the baby's mom was out of the equation. A big part of this was because my dad was really trying to harass my mom into taking him back, and he even showed up with the baby to her job and her house and tried to say that we could all be a family again, only with an extra kid. I hated dad for doing that to her, and she was stressed. My dad never did social media before, so I didn't have him blocked, but a few weeks ago I did block his new account when he reached out to ask me to have a relationship with him and the baby. I replied with "fuck off" before blocking, but then he suddenly had 2 more accounts, and on the last one he was like, "Please, I love you and we're still family, blah blah blah." He said we needed each other and it didn't look like mom would take him back. I told him he didn't deserve it, and why would she want to raise his kid with someone else, and why would I want to know his kid with someone else? I told him he needs to accept that he lost me, and there's no changing that, because to do that he would need to go back and not cheat. Then I blocked the final account. That was meant to be the end of it, but my uncle, dad's brother, decided to speak in defense of dad, and he told me dad was a bad husband, but a good dad, and it should count more for me. And he told me whether I like it or not, I have a little half-sister and need to think about being in her life. He asked me to consider what would happen if I got the call tomorrow that dad died. I told him I'd carry on living my life and would refuse to be a part of that, which pissed him off, and he told me I'm being over-harsh about it. I think he's defending my dad too much, and I told him. He said dad cheated, but he didn't physically harm anyone. I pointed out that he could have caught anything while cheating, and he did go and make a baby with someone else. My uncle said the baby is a good reason to work on letting it go because she needs more family. I told my uncle to drop it because I will never want either my dad or the baby in my life. He told me I was old enough to be more mature and less of an asshole to the innocent, and at an age where I should stay out of my parents' relationship. Am I the asshole? Honestly, I don't think the writer owes anyone a damn thing here. The dad didn't just cheat, he wrecked a family and then tried to act like nothing happened, dragging an innocent child into the mess he made. It's one thing to ask for forgiveness, but it's another to pressure your ex-wife and son into pretending that betrayal didn't matter. And the uncle's guilt trip? Completely off base. The writer's not punishing the baby, he's protecting his peace. Not everyone is obligated to play happy family just because there's a shared bloodline. Sometimes cutting ties is the most mature thing you can do. And just like that, we close this chapter. But don't go anywhere because the next story, it's just as raw and real.
Am I the asshole for calling the cops on my dad's pregnant girlfriend? Or maybe wife? I, 17 male, live full-time with my mom. My dad was never even a part-time dad. He was a see-you-once-or-twice-a-year dad, who didn't even devote that once or twice a year to me. Sometimes the only reason we saw each other is because my grandparents, his parents, included me in their lives. They both died a couple of years ago. The last 2 times I saw my dad, he brought along his girlfriend, who I hadn't known about the first time, and her kids. The first time I spent the weekend with them, and the second time it was a day with them. The last time was 8 or 9 months ago. I told him I didn't want him to keep showing up, and he seemed totally eager to agree to that. As soon as that happened, his girlfriend started seeking me out. We live in a small town, so it's not that hard, but she would make a point to cross over to speak to me, and she would ask me if I'd like to hang out more with her way younger kids. I said no, and I told her, though not exactly like this, that I didn't want contact with my dad anymore, so it didn't make sense for us to have contact either. She told me she'd like me to be a part of the family and to give it a shot now that her and the kids are around. I said I had my mind made up already. She'd keep seeking me out, trying to make me give them a chance. I tried to be nice, and I told her I just had no interest when Dad made no effort to be near me.
She even started approaching my mom, who after a few times got so annoyed, she told her to stay away from the two of us if she didn't want the cops and lawyers to get involved. Then she showed up at our house a few times. She came to tell me she was pregnant. She wanted to invite me to a big family lunch with her side and some relatives on his side. She came by to ask if I'd want to go to the park with her and her kids, and the kids would be standing there. One time she told them I was her brother, and wouldn't it be so cool to go to the park together? She usually left after being told once or twice, but she kept coming back, so Mom got security cameras. She asked Mom another day if she could take me away for the day for something special, and Mom closed the door in her face. My mom talked to her lawyer and a cop she knows, and they told her to document and only call the cops if we clearly ask her to leave, and she won't, which is what happened on Saturday. I was home on my own, and she showed up with her kids looking for me to come over and spend the day with them. I told her no, and I asked her to leave, and I did it again more forcefully before I did end up calling the cops. When the cops showed up, she was arguing that she's my stepmom and she's married to my dad, not sure if that's true or not, and she has the right to show up at my home. Her kids were getting more upset the longer the whole thing dragged on, so they had to arrest her. My dad got on my mom's case so hard about it, and she had to come home early and make sure I was okay and stuff. One of those times you could hear his girlfriend, wife, crying in the background about what I did to her and her kids, and she was that loud I could hear her. He won't stop calling her, and she's recording stuff if we needed it. She checked it was okay first. But they're saying I'm an awful person to call the cops on a pregnant woman like that, and I should have just talked to her. Am I the asshole? From where I stand after reading this, I don't think the writer did anything wrong. At all. What people keep missing here is that no means no, even if someone's pregnant, even if they think their intentions are good. This wasn't a one-time visit. This was repeated, boundary-pushing behavior from someone who refused to take a hint or a direct statement or even a closed door. And let's not ignore how this all stems from a dad who barely showed up and then somehow felt entitled to a relationship by proxy through his new partner. The writer was polite for far too long, and calling the cops wasn't cruel. It was a last resort after being cornered too many times. Honestly, he handled it with more patience than most adults would. And with that one wrapped up, buckle in, because the next story, the drama keeps escalating.
Am I the asshole for telling my wife she makes traveling no fun? Edits. Clarification at bottom. So my wife, 38 female, and I, 36 male, have been together 8 years. We live in my home state of Arkansas. She is from San Diego. Every year she wants to visit home. We used to fly, but since we have a kid, 2 female, she now wants to drive. I have no problem using all my vacation days for this. She lives here. Traveling is a pain because she overpacks. Used to fill my CX-7 full, but work gave me a $900 car allowance, and we used that to get a full-size Serbervan. This time, she loaded that full. I mean, front passenger to the ceiling full, so I can't see the mirrors. We didn't use hardly any of it. Every stop, I carried everything into the hotel because she was afraid it would get stolen. It's 3 days each way. Got through it, told her she makes traveling miserable because she's also super late. Tell her 10 a.m., she might arrive by noon. So every day we don't leave the hotel until 12, then she insists we drive until midnight. Ugh, unfun. Anyway, this weekend I was sent on a work conference. They got me a sweet hotel room, a week at a nice resort, super excited. We were going to go and leave the baby. Day before, she cancels my mom's watching to bring our child. Fills the Serbervan full again. Mind you, it's my work trip. 5 days, 5 nights. Most of the stuff was just overpacking. She brought a tote of blankets, 1 of towels, 2 of her clothes, totes. I told her she makes it miserable. The hotel always gets cluttered and full. The night before we leave is always a mess trying to pack, and her organizing stuff she brought that never gets used. She freaked out, told me I just want to go hook up and cheat at these things. I invited her. And she's filing for a divorce because I told her, "You're overpacking and insisting we fill every vehicle full and always being late makes me miserable." We were 3 hours late leaving to get to the conference, so I missed the networking opening night, which is where in my industry people tend to click up afterwards, to a degree. I missed going to the best vendor events, etc., because she insisted that I don't leave because she was overwhelmed with how messy the hotel room was. Mind you, it was all the stuff she brought, took out of totes, and never used, and the toddler then destroyed. Am I the asshole? Edits. Yes, I am involved in raising our child. I actually packed for our trip. I had one bag for baby to go to my mom's, toys, diapers, food, etc. A big bag, but one large suitcase. I had a bag packed for wife and one for me. Yes, she has ADHD. She always says she doesn't want to do this, then trip comes and she does it. I am not a cheater. She accused me of it last time I went solo. I'm exhausted. If she left me, I think I would be done with relationships. My own mental health is wrecked. My boss wasn't mad. He found the whole thing hilarious when I told him. He skipped half of the conference himself. My job wasn't threatened, but to me it was. I tried the whole packing thing for her and me. I have tried to just accept her issues, but it's gotten worse. When we first got together, it was she needed a large checked bag for a 2-day trip to Las Vegas. Now she needs an entire Serba-van for a week trip. One of the issues is the vehicle is so full. If it was just the back, I might be able to deal, but it's so full I can't even see the side mirror. I've expressed how unsafe that is, and she doesn't care, just yells that I don't understand. Yes, she comes from a hoarder background. Honestly, from where I'm sitting after reading all this, I don't think the writer is the asshole at all. In fact, it sounds like he's been quietly shouldering a heavy emotional and logistical load for years, trying to make trips work, trying to communicate his needs, and getting steamrolled every time. The frustration here isn't just about one overpacked bag. It's years of feeling unheard, unsafe, and undervalued in his own relationship. And yeah, when your partner's habits start to chip away at your mental health and even your career, it's no longer just quirky or something you can laugh off. That said, the situation is heartbreaking too, because there's clearly love buried under all that resentment. But love alone doesn't fix chaos, especially when it feels like your needs are constantly minimized. If this ends in divorce, I don't blame him for walking away for the sake of his sanity. Anyway, that's the end of this one. Stick around because the next story takes an even messier turn.